Bula Vinaka, and a warm welcome to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM. Only the classic hits. I'm Louise Kaunisela. This Sunday, on the 8th of March, will be International Women's Day. Did you know that around 2 in 3 Fijian women have experienced violence in their lifetime from an intimate partner? And then we have other victims as well of sexual assault. The Medical Services Pacific works to end violence against women and girls and provides clinical services to respond to sexual assault. My guest today, as a lead up to International Women's Day, this Sunday, we have MSP Country Director Ashna Shaleen and the Monitoring and Evaluation Officer Sarema Senimbidi. A warm welcome to the both of you to Speak Your Mind.
Good morning, Louise. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Thank you very much. Now we'll just go straight into my first question. Who funds Medical Services Pacific programs?
So Medical Services Pacific, well, we have a few donors, various donors for the past 10 years since inception. We've got the European Union, the UNDP that funds the Access to Justice program. We've got the Canada Fund, the Australian Award, Australian Aid donors. So it's really vast. And it depends on the types of projects that we write.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. Now, could you tell us more about the kind of work done at the Medical Services Pacific, MSP?
Okay. So Medical Services Pacific, well, it actually provides an integrated and holistic care services for women and children of sexual violence and gender-based violence. Some of our programs or the work that we've done is not just the static clinics in the Central, Western, and the Northern Division, but we also have a model which is the outreach model. So really taking the work out into communities at the community level.
All right, thank you very much. How long has the Medical Services Pacific been operating in the country? Maybe we'll have Sarema to answer that.
Medical Services Pacific, firstly, it's a rights-based Fijian NGO, and it was established in August 2010. So by now, it's about 10 years. We exist to enable Pacific women, youth, and children to have greater access to quality healthcare and social services through our regional engagement.
It's really good that you've been operating in the country for 10 years. That's quite long, actually. And yes, so, I mean, I really admire the work that you do. So who does Medical Services Pacific work with?
Again, we've got we work around the 3 divisions. Well, really the clinic is at the moment established in the Central Division and the Northern Division. We'll be soon expanding in Lautoka. We do not work in silos. We work with the government agencies. Ministry of Women, Children Poverty Alleviation, Ministry of Health and Medical Services, Ministry of Education, and the Fiji Police Force. So these are our government partners, and we obviously have a partnership with the Ministry of Youth. But our community partners are the community people, the provincial councils, and also because it's static clinics all around Fiji. We also have walk-in people. So our partners varies. We've got amazing donors who've been by our side since inception, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here come 10 years. So
being able to help our women and even children, I'm sure.
That's true, because sexual gender-based violence is a major issue in Fiji, a justice issue, and to have a dedicated post-rape clinic in the country, the only one for the Pacific, if I may say. Which provides holistic care, which is medical, counseling, and legal services. It's amazing that our donors have stood by us.
Yeah, because this is something that we really need in the country, and we wouldn't be able to do such wonderful services if we didn't have all this. But what is the Fiji Access to Justice project, and how is the work of the Medical Services Pacific supported by them?
Okay, so Fiji Access to Justice program, it's a European-funded UN project, and our partners are the UNDP and the European Union. So that particular project, we were quite lucky that now it's in its second year in running.
Okay.
It's really to improve the justice system and the experiences people experience during a crisis, particularly when women and children are exposed to things like attending forensic medical or crisis counseling or even the court system. So that this sort of the project allows us to provide accompaniment services, which is legal, counseling, and medical. And that's why it's called a holistic project, approach, a one-stop shop approach, having all three major players or all three major services under one-stop shop.
So that's just supporting the victim, obviously, the Fiji Access to Justice Project. So that is what you do. You give them what, legal, you help them with the legal advice and all that, or you just channel them to
So
somewhere?
on a usual, say for instance, a client walks in, referred to us by the Child Abuse and Sexual Offence Unit at the Fiji Police Force.
Right.
The client will then go through crisis counselling, medical counselling. So remember, we do not want to re-victimize survivors of gender-based violence.
Okay.
But it so happens that they are re-victimized in the process. People don't understand this. So the services, you come in for counseling crisis, you go through medical counseling also. So you can imagine already a survivor in front of the doctor has to take her clothes off and go through the process of medically examining.
That's so true, because they're already in trauma of what's happened to
Yes.
them, and then having to do that again. But you have to do these things, obviously, for evidence in the court. But we'll be back soon on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. This is our live radio talkback show, and we have the delayed coverage shown on FBC TV on the Tuesday night at 11 and the next morning at 11. Thank you for your good company. And my guest today, as a lead up to International Women's Day this Sunday, the MSP Country Director, Ashna Shaleen, and also Monitoring and Evaluation Officer, Sarema Senimbidi. So we need to carry on from where we left off, Ashna, about how you were saying when a victim comes to MSP, you have a very sensitive issue that you're dealing with, right? So you've said that they have to have counseling first, so you can carry on from there.
The counseling, the crisis counseling involves also medical counseling, just to prepare the client to be ready for a forensic examination with the doctor. So after the counseling, the client is then, referred to the gynecologist at the clinic for medical forensic. In between, we've got legal aid services. So legal services are provided to the family members. Remember, in a crisis situation, it's not just the survivor who's traumatized, it's the entire family.
True.
We've had clients as young as 19-month-old baby to a 74-year-old male and female client. So you can imagine the spectrum. The family members are also traumatized.
Yes.
So it's not just for the survivor, but then it's also for the family members.
Yes, very sensitive indeed. I know you must be very warming in your approach, obviously, with your counselors. I watched a bit on your website, and I saw the doctor. Is that the same doctor that's on your website?
Yes.
Still
Dr.
at
Alvarongic? Yes, yeah.
Oh, she seems really nice. And well, anyway, I believe that MSP also deal, like you've said, in medical forensics for rape and violence victims. Now, when a victim of sexual abuse is brought to the doctor by police officers from the Sexual Offences Unit, this is for a medical examination at MSP. What is the doctor's duty from there onwards?
So the medical doctor, gynecologist, really takes the client through the medical examination. Particularly, there's a form that needs to be filled by, which is supplied to us by the Fiji Police Force, Sexual
Okay.
Offence Unit.
That's the Fiji medical form, right?
Fiji medical pathological, yeah.
Well, something
so
like that. Just
something,
make it easy. Fiji
So,
medical form, yes. So,
and then the doctor has to in her interview or her discussion with the client to ascertain whether uh, the trauma that could have led to unplanned pregnancy or even sexual transmitted diseases. So these things are all then discussed, and proper medication is then provided. So for unplanned pregnancy because of the crime, we need to provide the client with the emergency contraceptive pill or the post-exposure prophylaxis pill for HIV prevention. So the doctor takes, that sort of care apart from just her medical findings.
okay, that's interesting.
And
Okay.
maybe if I could just add on to what Madam Ashna has just mentioned.
Yes, please.
With a survivor, we consider them our survivors. So if they are brought into the clinic, we don't see them as victims, but we see them as survivors of any form of violence.
Okay.
And when they are brought in, they are provided with pre-medical consultation and counseling just to obtain their consent
Right.
to undergo that medical procedures and also undergo the a forensic examination.
Right.
And medical consultation, like Ashna had mentioned, with our gynecologist. And we do not only stop there, but we also continue our ongoing free medical support.
That's
Because
so nice.
after the first phase of attending to a survivor,
Right.
this survivor will not, they will still be traumatized, so there needs to be a ongoing
care.
support. Yes.
Right. It's just not that
stop.
medical, checkup and all
Yes.
that. It's ongoing support.
Ongoing support for the
That's
survivor.
so fantastic. So that's right up until they have to appear in court.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where the gap is,
Okay.
It's not just the one-off kind of service because it's a trauma, they're dealing with traumas, family members and the survivor is dealing with the trauma. So it has to be an ongoing thing, a continuum of care. We call it the continuum of care for survivors and their families.
So for that care, they just keep coming to MSP where you're located, or do they have somewhere else that they go to?
They do come back to us, but there are certain, like we take appointments and bookings and things like that because we are so inundated by clients accessing the services. It's just it's very sad that it's happening, but we've got to then
That stage
yeah, exactly.
where you have to create appointments, so it's all organized. Everyone can be seen to,
Yeah.
and there's probably a long list, as you've said.
Burnout of counselors, because of the trauma that they're listening and seeing every day. It's also self-care for the counselor, so they are not overworked and burnt out. At the moment, we currently are like there's, because of the cases that's been referred to us, it's a lot to digest. It's a lot to provide care for. But with MSP, I'm lucky to have a team of 8 counselors and medical officers, specialized team really to provide this sort of service.
All right. So is there anything that you'd like to say, add on to that, Sarema?
Just with regards to the survivor, when these survivors are actually brought in, we provide them with confidential counseling. That is one most important service that we provide with the survivors. And not only that, after the first phase, when appointments are being done for them to come back, we try to always follow up on how they are progressing towards, on their everyday living. Because of the trauma that they have experienced.
Yes.
So MSP's work has gone, that far to actually take care of all the survivors. So currently with the survivors that have been brought into our clinic, we have this agreement with Fiji Police Force.
Right.
So since 2012, of that agreement to date, we have actually seen 955 cases that was brought in and was walked into our clinic.
Okay, for the what length of time again?
From 2012
Right.
till 2019.
That's our latest data
12,
on hand. Yeah.
So that's about 6 years, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how much altogether again?
955 cases.
Nearing 1,000, really.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the one that actually make a move and, come to you, report it.
Reported to the police and was brought to our door.
So
Okay.
it doesn't stop there from clinic and our services. Then the doctor has to represent the client in court, working closely with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution,
Okay.
so that she or he receives the justice that should be given to them.
True.
So the doctor then represents the client, and either the case can go either way, convicted or acquitted.
Exactly, but we'll come back for more on Speak Your Mind. Sorry to interrupt because we have run out of time for this segment, but I hope you're enjoying the show. Thank you again for your good company. We'll be back in a moment. This is Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. My guests today are from MSP, Medical Services Pacific, and that is a country director, Ashna Shaleen, as well as a monitoring and evaluation officer, Sarema Senimbidi. So before the break, we were actually talking about how the doctor represents the client in court. So does the Legal Aid Commission facilitate this?
Okay, so the state lawyers are the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution.
Oh, okay.
So the doctors, they work very closely with the ODPP. And the doctor then has to present her findings, her medical findings in court.
Right.
Which is a way of, because she's gathered all this evidence.
Yes.
Which she's used the post-rape kit.
Yes.
She or he, we've got a male and a female doctor, they're able to then present their findings in court.
Okay.
We get summoned by the court to do so, and that's when, they, apart from their ongoing day-to-day work, they've got to include this, which is, they get engaged weeks and representing clients in court.
Yes, you were saying it's a really very difficult process for the survivor. Obviously, because she has to go to court and relive the experience all over again, and how can you tell me on the survivor's, side of having to do all this? So do you think that it could be better in court, or what do you think?
It becomes very sensitive when children are involved, and that's when, they need the family support, and at the same time the communal support, and then support from their lawyers and support from Medical Services Pacific. So it's like a holistic thing, so that the survivor feels comfortable, the survivor feels that she's got somebody to look out, so there's somebody to look out for her or for him. We've also got male survivors. So
yeah, exactly, that's what I was going to say as well. I mean, geez. So have any survivors pulled out?
Oh, yes. We have survivors that we cannot track over time. See, justice is slow. So now what we are seeing is backlogs. We're seeing cases from 2012, 13, 16 coming to light at the moment, in 2020, 2019.
Yeah, that's a good point, because not even for sexual assault, even for other cases, it seems to drag on for years. But I think with sexual assault, they need to address it very quickly. It would be nice if they could.
That's the ideal situation when the perpetrator is taken to task for his hideous heinous crime. But that's not the case. The system has improved, no doubt.
Okay,
under
good.
the Access to Justice program,
Right.
the Legal Aid Commission, the ODPP, the judiciary, they are now strengthening service delivery from their end, and that's why we're getting a lot of cases appearing in court. It has increased, really.
But that is the only downfall, a little bit about why survivors probably pull out, because it's a long process. They have to keep going to court like for over a number of years.
Survivors pull out. Survivors are unable. We are unable to track survivors, unfortunately.
Okay.
So these are some of the challenges that we face on a daily basis.
So how do you strengthen the survivor to just keep hanging on to be able to get the justice?
the things like, we've got to be creative in order to get, if I may, in order to get the survivors to keep, the momentum going, sort of thing.
Right.
So we have to design programs. So again, and a CSO like MSP, and there are other CSOs who's doing, great work around access to justice work.
G Women's Crisis Center.
Fiji Women's Crisis Center. There's Empower Pacific. There's
Lifeline.
So we've got to be very creative in order to keep our survivors,
with that will.
with the will and the momentum, really. And then design programs. We've got a program called Phoenix, the Phoenix Project, which is keeping the survivors active and in a way that the project is therapeutic, and for them to keep coming back because they know the end result is that they want justice to be served.
Yes, I mean, because you think about it, it might take long, but it's worth waiting. Yes. So, Rima, what is your take on this?
I believe that Ashna has just mentioned everything regarding how we support our survivors.
Yeah.
And definitely that Phoenix Survivor Program is a work in progress for all the survivors that has actually been brought into our clinic.
Yes. I mean, it must be very awkward when the police from the sexual offences unit bring someone in, because obviously they're not to take a shower or anything, because that's how that the doctor can do the medical findings.
Yeah.
And not only does that program focus on the survivors, but it focuses on the family as well, the family support.
That's very important.
Very important.
Yes. So have you seen that sometimes families are not supportive, or most of them are?
Most of them are supportive, putting on a very strong face, but deep within we know that they have been traumatized. Like, for example, if a child was sexually abused and it has been known within that community, how do you think the community would address or look at the parent in the manner?
Okay.
Like, discrimination would be there.
Right.
So this Phoenix support program not only supports the survivors, but also helps the family in supporting their children or their loved ones who have been traumatized through the violent act.
All right, we'll be back soon on Speak Your Mind. This is Gold FM, only the classic hits, your only classic hit station in the country. Be sure to tune in. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. It's good to have you again this week, and an interesting topic. We have something which is, as the country director of MSP has mentioned, there's a huge line of appointments that they have to make, and this is for sexual assault, not only on women and girls, but also boys and maybe young men. I mean, you probably know everything about that. So we've spoken about how you said that there needs to be support for the family as well as the survivor.
Yeah. Talking about this support, this is provision of the counseling services, provision of legal services, and maybe provision of medical examination if the need be. But looking at the program on access to justice, we not only focus on the survivors, but we also take our program out of the clinic, whereby we have this, we do have this dual approach to the program that we have. We've got the mobile outreach and we've got the one-stop shop static clinic.
Okay, that's
so
interesting.
So the one-stop shop static clinic is the one that we focus with the survivors that have been brought in by the sexual offense unit.
Okay.
But when we go out during our mobile outreach program, that is when we try to identify those that have experienced violence within the community and have never reported, and try to assist them in such a way so that they too can have access to justice with the provision of the services that MSP is able to offer.
I see. So, like, for example, can you give an example?
So Kandavu, for instance, the team is heading to Kandavu
Right.
this week for the next 2 weeks. They'll be in the island. And they'll be providing awareness on gender-based violence, sexual gender-based violence, violence against women and girls, child protection, sexual reproductive health. It's a lot of programs, but they'll be moving from one village to another and providing awareness and clinical services the island. So we've done quite extensively. We've covered the maritime and hard to reach communities. Under the project, Access to Justice project, we were lucky enough to be funded for just that also, to provide awareness and clinical services to the vulnerable, the hard to reach communities.
So when you say, you just said something like the services that you provide for them. So how do you convince them? I mean, what is the people of these remote areas, what is their reaction to you coming in and talking about all that you've just said? Is it good or?
Well, when we deliver our programs, one part of our program is handing out satisfaction feedback forms, whereby the community members are able to provide us with the feedback of how we have provided our services, or how excellent or bad our services are. And from those feedbacks, what we have gathered is it was a mind opener, an eye opener for them. Most of them felt that they've been experiencing emotional abuse. They've been experiencing violence within the family, and it was a norm.
See, because of cultural norms that we've been living through for centuries, I'd say.
Our belief system, we are entrenched with our belief system and patriarchy and so forth. So
so
people have been going on.
So your job is to open their eyes and say it's not okay to be quiet about it. You need to come out with it.
Yes.
You've got to call people. You've got to, although you, for instance, Kandavu and other maritime locations. If you have a situation, you do not need to suffer in silence. There's help. There's people out there, there's CSOs like ourselves out there who can be reached. You can use the National Child Helpline. Now, there's another project, which is the 1325, a toll-free line.
Toll-free, yes.
Domestic violence line, which is 1560. So, people can reach these free services.
Okay, but it's interesting. You actually found that when you went to Kandavu, you had a lot of people who came along. And where do you set up?
We not only have we gone to Kandavu, but our reach has actually gone out throughout the Fiji Islands.
Okay.
We've reached out to the Northern Division. We've reached throughout the Viti Levu. We went out to Rotuma. On the first
CSOs
few months,
to reach Ratuma.
That's
first few months
excellent.
of last year. So what we do is we don't only just walk in, but we work with other ministries, existing ministries within the vicinity that allows us to bring our services in.
Right.
And we also work closely with the provincial office to give us that green light of coming in and working within their communities.
Yes, you have to have permission.
That is
the main
paramount,
thing.
yes.
We've got to have the stakeholders on board, or else this project and the program won't be a success.
So are they mostly supportive of you going into the communities?
They're always supportive. The first question was, who do we work with? Our stakeholders are the community, the provincial council. Without their endorsement, we cannot take a project or a program of this sort out in the communities to their people,
So
people of Fiji.
Yes, thank you. So can you tell me, because you have actually gone and done the groundwork, what have you seen? I mean, can you share with us, have you had many reports or change of behavior, change of mindset of actually saying, yes, we're going to do something about this?
Oh, yes. We've going into the community one, not only do we serve those that come in, but we also take the walk at the end of our service delivery on a space that has been allocated to us. So the walk means that after we have served those that were able to come in to where we were, we had to leave that particular spot and walk to each and every household, because the idea is not to leave anyone behind.
Okay.
This means are those people living with disabilities who are not able to bring themselves to where we were. We try to visit them and take the services to them.
That's
So,
good because people with disabilities too are at a disadvantage.
yes,
And
very
they
much.
become victims to quite a lot, don't they?
They are the
And not only
vulnerable
that,
category.
they're the ones who are left behind.
Okay, so we'll talk more when we come back on Speak Your Mind. Thank you. And this is Louise Kaunisela on Gold FM, only the classic hits. Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits, our live radio talkback show that we have every Tuesday. So if you happen to be listening and there's something that you'd really like to ask our friends in the studio here from the Medical Services Pacific, you're most welcome to call 3220-906 or 77-32906. So we'll go over again what exactly does MSP's work on forensic clinical services for sexual and gender-based violence survivors involve?
Okay, so the forensic clinical, it's called the one-stop shop. We've got, we were designed to provide specifically and purposely a service that was targeted for survivors of sexual gender-based violence. So it's a holistic approach. We've got crisis counseling, there's legal advice and services, and most importantly, the medical side of things, so medical forensic, if there's any,
So this is something like you see on the TV. I mean, it sounds very advanced, where they take swabs and all that for medical evidence. Do they have to send that overseas and bring it back again or something? Or is everything done here?
Fiji just started using the post-rape kit.
Okay, so maybe you can describe what that is?
The pathology unit at the Fiji police, they provide us with the post-rape kits. These kits are used when we call it the fresh cases, so that's within 2 weeks of an incident of sexual violence. And that's when the kits are used. So, there's swabs, the removal of clothes. It's like a CSI, and it's easy to visualize a CSI on TV.
Good.
So
that's the best way to describe
exactly.
it. Yes.
So while in community, we've got to explain them, how to identify what a post-rape kit may look like. So that's the closest example that we use. CSI.
So when did it arrive in the country? When did MSP able to use this technology, or whatever you call it?
From our understanding, since the establishment of the one-stop shop rape facility, post-rape facility, we've used the kit since 2012 to date. It's been a number of years, and these kits are supplied to us by the Fiji Police Pathology Unit.
Oh, that's good
to know. So the testing is done, for evidence, and the swabs that's taken, all testing is done at the pathology unit.
So what do you have to say for, some people say that some men actually go to prison by women who report them for rape, but they didn't rape them? Have you heard that one before?
For us, if a survivor says that, she's a victim of a sexual abuse, that's what we, take lead from. We will definitely, work on behalf of the survivor who has come to us, and saying that she has been sexually abused. But then it all depends on the court proceedings and findings, and then cases. We've had cases where we've had conviction, and we've had cases where it's been acquitted.
Okay. So maybe you'd like to explain why was it acquitted?
So there could be, various reasons why it was acquitted. So
not
lack
enough
of evidence,
yeah.
The survivor was not able to be located, and so forth. So there are reasons.
Reasons. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sarema?
I think that area of work is left to Madam Director and the legal officers. My duty is
yes.
just to capture every number of clients that walks into our clinic. That was why I was sharing
Right.
beforehand the number of SOU clients or SOU survivors that have been reported and was escorted by police to our clinic, which had come up to 955 in total. Of the 955, I would say 80% of that total falls between the ages of 18 and below. 80% of the total number of clients that have been walked in, youngest being a 1 year, 9-month-old baby that was actually brought in. But of a majority of these cases that were brought in, not all cases are rape cases, but a majority of them were rape. Others falls between other cases like missing children or
Defilement, incest, and so forth. Yeah.
Yes, but
So again, the sexual abuse cases that we see vary in nature. We've got incest, rape, defilement, abduction, and so forth. So we are able to capture these data, which is quite shocking. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Salima has the information. Share it again. So, I mean, I know it's we hear it over and over again in the news. Someone so and so, so and so. But yeah, just give us the statistics that you have there with you.
Well, like I said earlier on, the total cases that was brought into our clinic is 955. Majority of these cases falls between the ages of 18 and below. And 18 and below, under the law, are still considered children.
Yeah,
Those that are
exactly.
children. And a majority of these children are females. So we could, that does not actually take into account that males are not survivors or victims. Our young males are also our victims that were escorted in, or cases of sexual assault are being reported, that males are the victims of abuse or survivors of abuse.
Yes.
But the age category is what struck us as more interesting, because with the age category, the ages fall between 11 to 17 years old.
For males or
Females.
for females? Okay.
Yes. So 11 to 17 years old marks the highest of the children that are brought in.
My guest from the Medical Services Pacific, if you've never heard of them, now you have, so you know where to reach out for help. Don't be a silent victim. And we have MSP Country Director, Ashna Shaleen. Thank you so much. And also the Monitoring and Evaluation Officer, Sarema Senimbidi. So we'll just go through the context, where you can be contacted. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
And you know how to get in touch with you.
Thank you, Louise. Our office is located at 355 Waimano Road in Suva. It's right next to our Trigger Hotel and close to CWM Hospital. With the Lambasa Clinic, it's located at 11 Nayada Subdivision. That is past the road that goes up to hospital and next to Fiji Women's Crisis Center.
Okay.
Contact detail for our two clinics. For the Suva Clinic, they can contact us on 3630041 or even call the child helpline if there's anything related to a child, any issue that is related to a child, they can call 1325. Our Lambasa Clinic is 8280308 or 8811 for adult counseling, they can call 9910894. Not only that, for those that are actually going through domestic violence or any form of violence at home and do not know where to contact, they can also contact the line 1560 that is actually implemented by the Fiji Women's Crisis Center. That is a domestic violence line. Contact that number, or maybe come into our clinic or contact us on 9910894.
Pinaka Sarima, so just lastly, what are your plans for International Women's Day?
Okay. So the team, as I've mentioned earlier, the team is heading to Kandavu.
Okay.
And they'll be celebrating awareness on International Women's Day. But there's something interesting happening in Suva, which is, it's called the Global Women's Strike. It's organized by Fiji Women's Rights Movement, and it's held at Sukuna Park on the 6th of March.
Okay, so that's on Friday.
This Friday, it's got free concert, and it's going to have a lot of awareness. So it's literally, stopping work and joining the strike, create awareness on on these issues that we've just
Yeah,
talked
we
about.
just need to protect our people. I mean, our young people, I should say. So, lastly, before we finish, just a message to just the general public on what you do. What would you like to say as coming from the medical services Pacific?
So, medical services specific, we are a free service. Please access our service when it comes to issues that's pertaining to sexual gender-based violence, violence against women and girls. We've got it's a holistic project, a program. We've got free legal advice. We've got crisis counseling. There's a medical component to it. We do a lot of work on sexual reproductive health, so family planning and contraceptives. Our teenage pregnancy numbers have increased. Prevalence rate is high. So why not access something that is free of charge? And if you want us to provide community outreach, get in touch with us so that we can start the discussion and talks and see how our services can reach your communities.
Thank you very much, Ashna. And Sarima, a strong message also from you to the general public about the work that you do. But I would most like to highlight sexual crimes because it is really just too much.
Yeah. Maybe just to add on to what Ashna has said, our opening hours are from Monday to Saturday. So we open on Monday to Saturday from 9 to 5 p.m. Every day. Please come in, and if you know that you are going through any form of violence at home, speak out. Just speak out. If you're too scared to speak out, come to Medical Services Pacific. We are there to provide you with the service, and whatever service we are going to provide you with, we maintain confidentiality, meaning that we will not share any story that you come to share with us.
Yeah, and it's better to just to come out with it so you don't have that burden eating you up inside.
Yes.
But thank you so much from the Medical Services Pacific, the country director, Ashna Shaleen, and the monitoring and evaluation officer, Sarima Senimbidi Vinaka Vakalevu. Until next week on Speak Your Mind, thank you so much for your company. Bye for now.